The Creation of Your Soul, by David Russo. Introduction. Before we begin, take a moment to arrive, not by doing anything special, just by noticing that you are here, listening, aware. That awareness is not accidental. It is the same awareness that has been with you through every change, every chapter, every version of yourself. This audiobook is not here to tell you who to be. It is here to speak to the part of you that already knows. The Creation of Your Soul is an exploration of something deeply personal and yet universally shared. The quiet sense that your life has meaning beyond survival, beyond productivity, beyond the roles you play. It is about the invisible process unfolding beneath your thoughts, the shaping of your inner world through experience, choice, loss, and love. You will not find commandments here. You will not be asked to adopt beliefs or reject what you already hold sacred. Instead, you are invited to listen with openness, not urgency. Spiritual understanding does not arrive through force. It arrives through recognition. Your soul was not created in a single moment. It has been forming through attention, through curiosity, through the way you respond when life does not go as planned. Even your confusion has been part of the design. Especially your questions. As you listen, you may notice moments of resonance, a sentence that feels familiar, as if it echoes something you once knew but forgot how to name. You may also notice resistance. That, too, is welcome. The soul does not unfold by agreement alone, it unfolds through honest engagement. There is no finish line to reach by the end of this audiobook. No state of enlightenment to achieve. What matters is presence. What matters is the willingness to observe your inner life without judgment. You are not broken, you are not behind. You are in the process of becoming. Let this audiobook move at the pace of breath. Pause when you need to. Return when something calls you back. The words are not the point, they are only signposts. The real journey is already happening within you. Now, let us begin. Chapter 1. Before you were a name, before you were given a name, you were awareness, not an identity, not a body, not a history. Just the simple fact of being quiet, open, and present. Long before you learned to say I am, there was already something experiencing, watching, receiving. This is where the creation of your soul begins, not as an object formed by outside forces, but as consciousness discovering itself through experience. The soul is not something you have. It is something you are becoming. And that becoming started before you could remember, before language shaped your world, before expectations told you who you were supposed to be. Every human life begins in mystery. Science can describe the mechanics of birth, but it cannot explain awareness itself. No microscope has ever found the place where consciousness lives. Yet you know it intimately. It is what hears these words right now. Before you were taught your name, you existed without definition. In that undefended state, there was no comparison, no judgment, no story to protect. There was simply presence. That presence is not gone. It has only been covered by layers of thought and experience. The soul does not arrive fully formed. It unfolds. It learns what it feels like to be separate, to be limited, to be vulnerable. And in doing so, it gains depth. Meaning emerges not from perfection, but from participation. You did not come into this life empty. You came with an orientation, a subtle leaning toward certain questions, certain sensitivities, certain ways of seeing. These are not random traits. They are the fingerprints of a deeper intention, guiding your attention toward the lessons that matter most for you. When life feels overwhelming, it is often because awareness has become lost inside the story of who you think you are. This chapter is an invitation to step back, even briefly, into the space before the story. The place where nothing needs to be proven. You are still that awareness. You have always been that awareness. The name you were given is useful, but it is not the truth of you. The roles you play are meaningful, but they are not the source of you. Beneath them all is the quiet beginning that never left. This is where your soul started, and this is where it can always be found again. Chapter 2. The first yes. Before any life unfolds, there is a moment of agreement, not a moment you can remember, and not one that happened in time as you understand it. It is a deeper kind of moment and inner alignment. A quiet willingness. This is what we might call the first yes. The soul does not enter experience by force. It enters by choice. This idea can feel unsettling at first. If the soul chose to be here, then what about pain? What about loss? struggle, and uncertainty. This chapter is not here to justify suffering or make it seem small. Human pain is real, and it matters. But at the level of the soul, experience is not divided into good and bad. It is divided into known and unknown. The soul says yes to the unknown, to feel rather than observe, to forget rather than remember, to step into limitation so that meaning can arise. Without contrast, there is no discovery. Without risk, there is no depth. The first yes is not naive, it is courageous. This consent is not about choosing specific events. It is about choosing a range of possibility, choosing to be shaped by what unfolds, choosing to learn from what cannot be controlled. You may notice this same yes echoing throughout your life. In moments when you stayed open instead of closing, when you tried again after disappointment, when you allowed yourself to care, even knowing it could hurt. These are not personality traits. They are expressions of the soul remembering its original orientation toward experience. The first yes does not mean you must accept everything that happens to you. It does not mean endurance without boundaries. It means participation, engagement, the willingness to meet life as it is, rather than how you wish it would be. At times, you may feel as though life has said no to you. Dreams that did not materialize, relationships that ended, paths that closed without explanation. Even then, the deeper yes remains intact. It is the part of you that continues to listen, to wonder, to seek meaning instead of resignation. The soul's yes is quiet, but it is persistent. If you are listening to this, that yes is still alive in you. It lives in your curiosity, in your capacity to reflect, in your choice to be present with your own experience, even when it is uncomfortable. The creation of your soul did not begin with certainty, it began with willingness, and that willingness is still shaping who you are becoming. Chapter 3, Entering the Human Story. Becoming human is not a descent from something higher, it is an immersion. The soul does not hover above life, it steps directly into it. Into a body with limits. Into a family with history. Into a culture with rules, language, and expectations. This is how the abstract becomes lived. When you entered this world, you did not arrive as a blank slate. You arrived with a particular sensitivity to the environment around you. Certain things affected you more deeply. Certain questions stayed with you longer. These early impressions were not accidents. They were the soul learning how to orient itself inside form. The human story is where the soul gains texture. Your personality is not a mask hiding the soul, it is one of the soul's instruments. Through temperament, emotion, and desire, awareness learns what it feels like to be this specific expression of life. Even traits you've struggled with, your intensity, your caution, your longing, are part of the translation process. No two translations are the same. Family is often the first language the soul learns. Through closeness or distance, support or challenge, the soul begins to understand relationship. Not all families are safe or nurturing, and this is not a romantic truth. Yet, even in difficulty, the soul is learning discernment, resilience, and the boundaries of selfhood. The human story introduces contrast. It teaches the soul what it is to want, to lose, to adapt. These experiences are not punishments. They are encounters. They shape awareness the way pressure shapes stone, slowly, unevenly, and with lasting effect. At some point, the roles you are given begin to feel tight. The labels no longer fit. This is not failure. It is growth. The soul expands, and the old definitions can't hold it anymore. This chapter is an invitation to look at your life with a different lens. Not to excuse what has hurt you, but to see how deeply you have been involved in becoming yourself. Nothing about your sensitivity, your contradictions, or your complexity is random. You are not merely living a human story, you are infusing it with awareness, and through that infusion, the creation of your soul continues. One experience at a time. Chapter 4, The Forgetting. To fully inhabit the human experience, something vital must be temporarily set aside, not vanished forever, simply concealed for a while. This is the forgetting. If you could recall every memory your soul holds, life would feel distant, like a story already told. There would be no urgency, no risk, no real choice. Forgetting is what makes living tangible. It transforms existence from observation into participation. The veil is not an error, it is a grace. Through forgetting, consciousness narrows. Focus lands on this body, this name, this fleeting moment. And in that narrowing, richness is born. Joy becomes precious because it can vanish. Love becomes meaningful because it can fracture. For many, forgetting feels like disconnection. A subtle homesickness for a place they cannot locate. A yearning without an object. This is not emptiness, it is memory stripped of images. The soul recognizing that it once knew a wider expanse, doubt often surfaces here. Questions of purpose, value, and direction. These are not failures of spirit. They are signs that the forgetting is loosening. The soul begins to brush against the edges of the story, inhabits. Pain, too, has a role. Not because suffering is required for awakening, but because it shakes the illusion of permanence. Loss reminds us that identity rooted solely in form is temporary. In that disruption, awareness peers deeper. You may have blamed yourself for feeling adrift, for not knowing your purpose or your true nature. But forgetting is never personal. It is part of entering fully into experience, and forgetting is never complete. It seeps through moments of stillness, through beauty that arrests your attention, through love that feels boundless. In these flashes, something ancient awakens, not as knowledge, but as recognition. The forgetting is not the conclusion of the soul's story, it is the midpoint. Every time you notice the quiet awareness beneath thought, the veil thins, enough to remind you that what you seek has never truly vanished. Chapter 5. The inner voice. Even in forgetting, the soul leaves a trace. It is subtle, easy to overlook, often drowned out by fear, habit, and noise. This is the inner voice, not thinking, but knowing. It does not argue or explain. It simply points. You may have felt it as a quiet tug, a sense of ease or resistance that defies logic. A moment when something felt right before you could justify why. This is not imagination. It is awareness speaking its native language, feeling. The inner voice does not shout, it does not need to convince. It is not concerned with belief. It waits patient, steady, always present beneath the surface of your choices. Many mistake it for impulse or emotion. But the guidance of the soul has a different texture. It is calm, even in difficult directions. It carries clarity without urgency. Following it brings alignment, not excitement. Hearing this voice is not about adding something new to life. It is about removing distraction, slowing down long enough to notice what remains, and the mind quiets. Silence is not emptiness, it is guidance. The inner voice becomes clearer when you stop demanding guarantees. It is not here to promise safety or success. Its concern is authenticity. Sometimes it asks you to step away from comfort. Other times, to rest instead of striving. Its focus is coherence, whether your life matches your inner truth. You may have ignored this voice before. Most do. But the soul does not withdraw in punishment. It continues offering direction, even when unheard. Trust grows gradually. One choice at a time. One pause of attention. One act of honesty before action. These moments shape your soul. Each time you listen inward rather than react outward, awareness deepens, integrity strengthens, and life becomes less struggle and more dialogue. The inner voice has always been with you. It has never been lost. It has only been waiting for your attention. Chapter 6. Fracture and Becoming. No soul matures without encountering reality's tests. This chapter does not glorify suffering. It simply honors what occurs when life dismantles the structures we relied on for safety, certainty, or control. Fracture is not a detour, it is often the doorway. At times, the life you are living can no longer bear the weight of your experience. Loss, betrayal, failure, or quiet unraveling may leave the familiar meaningless. The future you imagine collapses, and you find yourself suspended between what was and what has not yet formed. This space can feel unbearable. The mind rushes to repair, to explain, to return to comfort. But the soul does not seek restoration. It seeks truth. Fracture reveals what was built on fear, habit, or expectation rather than alignment. Grief has wisdom. It slows you as something essential is reshaping. Anger has information. It marks crossed or neglected boundaries. Even numbness can be protective while awareness recalibrates. No response to pain is wrong. When identity fractures, awareness gains space. The self you thought you were loosens. It can feel like losing yourself, yet it is often the beginning of encountering yourself more honestly. The soul does not abandon, It moves into the cracks. Through fracture, you may emerge with fewer illusions, deeper compassion, and a clearer sense of what truly matters. Not because pain improved you, but because awareness was refined. This is becoming, not instant transformation, but slow reorientation. Less need to prove, less attachment to certainty, more rooted in presence. If you are amid fracture, you are not failing your path, you are walking it. The soul's formation is not smooth or linear. It is shaped where life forces you to feel more deeply than you anticipated, and in those depths, something truer is taking form. Chapter 7. Chose and Creation. Eventually, the soul steps back and allows mind and heart to take the pen. Chose is the bridge between being and becoming. It is not merely selecting between options, it is understanding that every thought, intention, and action contributes to the ongoing creation of life. Many live as if life happens to them, as if they are passengers on a predetermined path. But the soul reminds us we are also participants, not controlling fate, but co-creating it through attention, intention, and integrity. Chose is rarely dramatic. It resides in quiet, repeated acts, speaking truth, pausing before reacting, allowing vulnerability, setting boundaries, noticing what matters. Each chose carves channels for the soul to express itself. Creation and chose are inseparable. To choose consciously is to shape who you are. To ignore chose is also a chose, often unconsciously, repeating old patterns, regrets, and tension. Awareness brings freedom. Freedom does not remove challenge, but allows engagement rather than drift. The soul's guidance does not dictate outcomes. It illuminates alignment, coherence, and authenticity. It gently asks, does this serve growth? Does this honor your presence? The answers may be uncomfortable, but they lead to wholeness. Life is a continuous canvas. Every thought, feeling, and act is paint. Some strokes bold, some subtle, some messy. All contribute to the evolving masterpiece of awareness. Soul creation occurs not only in insight, but in repeated acts of attention. Every chose is a brushstroke. Every pause, reflection, or act of compassion adds depth, texture, and clarity. You are not here to control life, you are here to create it, mindfully, courageously, guided by awareness. With each chose, the soul you are becoming takes shape. Chapter 8. Remembering who you are. At some point, the soul begins to call you home. This is not a dramatic event or a sudden revelation. It is a quiet remembering, a subtle shift in awareness that whispers, you are more than your story. For much of life, identity is built from roles, expectations, and the labels others place on us. We learn to define ourselves by family, profession, culture, and circumstance. Yet beneath all of these, the soul has always been present, observing, waiting, and guiding. Remembering who you are does not erase the human story. You still live in the world, feel your feelings, and navigate relationships. But suddenly, the things that once felt like everything, approval, control, certainty, begin to lose their weight. You see them as instruments, not as your essence. This remembering often comes through reflection, stillness, and the courage to face yourself honestly. It appears in moments when you act from presence rather than reaction, when you pause before judgment, when you respond from depth instead of habit. You may feel a sense of relief, as though a long-lost part of you has returned. Or you may feel discomfort, because old patterns and attachments resist recognition. Both experiences are part of the process. Growth is not always comfortable. The soul remembers not in words, but in resonance. You feel it in alignment, in clarity, in the quiet confidence that arises when your actions reflect your truth. It is the sense that even amid uncertainty, you are exactly where you need to be. Remembering is not a destination, it is an ongoing practice. Some days, awareness feels sharp and alive. Other days, life snowstills it. The key is not perfection, it is returning, again and again, to the awareness that you are more than circumstance, thought, or identity. The soul does not need to be recovered. It has always been with you. You are simply learning to recognize it, and in that recognition, life begins to feel less like survival and more like participation in a larger, unfolding mystery. You are remembering, and in that remembering, the creation of your soul deepens. Chapter 9. Living from the soul. Remembering who you are is only the beginning. The next step is living from that awareness. Living from the soul is not about escaping life. It is about engaging with it fully, but differently. You act not from fear, obligation, or the need to perform, but from alignment with the deeper truth you have begun to recognize. Every choice, every interaction, every decision becomes an opportunity to reflect the presence within you. This way of living shows up in small ways: listening fully to another, offering compassion without expectation, holding boundaries with kindness, choosing honesty even when it is uncomfortable. It is not flashy or dramatic. It is quiet, persistent, and profound. When the soul guides your actions, work becomes more than a means to an end. Relationships become mirrors, not prisons. Challenges become invitations rather than obstacles. Even mundane moments, washing dishes, walking, breathing, can be infused with presence. The ordinary becomes sacred because awareness is present. Living from the soul does not mean you are always happy, enlightened, or free from struggle. It means you carry a deeper awareness through struggle. You are no longer defined by external circumstances. You are defined by your ability to inhabit your own life fully, with integrity and attention. Spirituality becomes lived rather than performed. You do not need rituals to validate your path. Your life itself becomes the practice. Every choice made with awareness, every pause before reaction, every act of presence, is a brushstroke in the unfolding of your soul. As you continue to live from the soul, you will notice subtle shifts: clarity in decision making, resilience in difficulty, compassion without depletion, and joy that is less dependent on external validation. These are not rewards, they are natural consequences of aligning your inner life with your outer life. The creation of your soul is now visible in the way you inhabit the world. Not as a spectacle, not as perfection, but as a living, breathing embodiment of awareness that has remembered itself and continues to unfold. You are not merely surviving, you are living, fully, consciously, soulfully. Chapter 10. The ongoing creation. The creation of your soul is not something that ends. It is not a project with a finish line, nor a story that concludes when you think it should. It is an unfolding, continuous, and ever-expanding process. Each moment of awareness, each act of presence, every choice you make contributes to it, whether you notice or not. Even now, as you listen, the soul is at work. It is reshaping, refining, and deepening your capacity to experience life fully. Every joy, every heartbreak, every pause and reflection is part of this living tapestry. Nothing is wasted, and nothing is incidental. The ongoing creation of your soul is not about achieving perfection. It is about participating intentionally, honestly, and courageously in the process of becoming. Sometimes that participation will be gentle and graceful. Other times, it will be messy and confusing. Both are necessary. Both are sacred. You will continue to forget and remember, to stumble and rise, to question and wonder. Each repetition strengthens awareness and clarifies purpose. The soul does not rush. It does not demand a timeline. It moves at its own pace, inviting you to keep showing up, keep listening, and keep co-creating. Even at the end of life, this creation does not stop. Life and soul are inseparable. The experiences you gather, the love you give, the attention you offer, these are the lasting expressions of awareness. The soul continues, carrying forward what has been learned, expanded, and integrated. So you are not here to finish yourself. You are here to unfold, to explore, to create, to deepen, and to remember that you are part of an eternal process that began before time and will continue beyond it. Every breath you take, every choice you make, every moment of presence is another brushstroke in the masterpiece of your soul. The creation of your soul is happening now, and it will never stop. Conclusion: you are still becoming. You have reached the end of this audiobook, yet the journey is far from over. The creation of your soul is not a story with a final chapter. It is an ongoing unfolding, a process that continues quietly beneath every moment of your life. Every thought, every choice, every breath contributes to its shape. Whether you notice it or not, you are not broken. You are not behind. You are not incomplete in the way the world might measure you. You are unfinished in the way a river is unfinished as it carves its path through the landscape, constantly moving, reshaping, and deepening. Your soul does not demand perfection, it asks only for attention, presence, and courage. The lessons of this journey are not found in doctrine or achievement, but in practice. In pausing to notice the inner voice, in feeling fully, even when it is uncomfortable, in acting with integrity and compassion, even when no one else is watching. In living each day in awareness of the unfolding process within you, you may return to these chapters and hear them differently each time. That is because you are different each time you return. The soul is not static. It grows, it learns, it expands. And every moment of awareness strengthens it, deepens it, and continues its creation. So take this with you. You were never lost, you were never abandoned, and nothing about you is wasted. The soul you are becoming has always been present, patiently guiding, quietly witnessing, and eternally unfolding. Keep breathing, keep noticing, keep choosing. The creation of your soul is alive, and it is happening in you, right now.